number one spot, yeah. No key, got the game on lock, ayy. Big threes when I take my shot, ayy. On the rise and we ain't gon' drop on the grind. It's our time, just watch.
If you want it, you can get it. Life gets hard, but don't you let it get you down. Go get the crown because our time is now.
Hey, we gotta get it. Gotta get up, gotta go, we gotta get it. Hey, they won't forget us. Made it happen and we all became legends. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it.
We can't be contained when we leave the game. My name will remain. We don't need the fame. You can keep this chain. We broke free so things won't be the same. Nah, on the mission, gotta get it, let's work. You were raised on the net, I'm raising my net worth. But it ain't about the money, nah, it ain't about the cause. All that matters is the world knows who we are. Stars.
If you want it, you can get it. Life gets hard, but don't you let it get you down. Go get the crown because our time is now.
Hey, we gotta get it. Gotta get up, gotta go, we gotta get it. Hey, they won't forget us. Made it happen and we all became legends. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it.
Know that our time is now. Yes, life can get hard, but don't ever let it keep you down.
we're coming to the end of the first real league-style tournament of the year here for COWZA. And as it is the Easter weekend, we've decided to leave one special little surprise waiting for you late on a Monday evening, in fact, is Inglorious Blasters versus Monarch crossed with Five Nights. A bit of an amalgamation of team, but the important part of this, basically the two best teams in the country, the only two undefeated teams left in the league here to face it out for tonight. And we're going to get maybe a little bit of a taste of what the rest of this year's competition really looks like at the pinnacle of the game. And who better to bring you the action than myself and Sun Phoenix. My friend, we've been doing this for a long time, and the hype never goes away.
And this is the big one, as you said, for the summer series. We've casted games here and there. Myself and Sam, we got to cover the grand finals of Conquer the Climb. That was a really, really hype series, going all 7 games in the grand finals. So that was exciting. But it's all kind of been building towards this kind of a matchup. The top 2 teams in the country, as per the numbers, as per previous performances, these are the 2 teams that represent the best that South African Overwatch has to offer, as we understand it. That said, there are at least one other team that is kind of nipping at the heels of these 2, but as you mentioned, are undefeated in terms of matches, but not in terms of maps for one of these teams. And I think it's surprising coming into this who our favorite actually is, especially when we compare it to the Ethereal Crown results from last year especially, and for the relative strength of these 2 rosters. But we've had a lot of eyes on Five Nights. We haven't yet been able to see Inglorious Blasters so far this season, so looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table, and to kind of validate our feeling on the strength of Monarch Five Nights. Are they as good as they look, or are we just waiting for Inglorious Blasters to bat them down as they've done in the past?
Yep, exactly. You kind of say this is the first time we're getting to see these sides this season. But I mean, we've been watching them for how many years right now? I mean, in whatever iterations these individual players have been playing, I think they're at least 3 of these guys have been together for 4 years now from the Inglorious Blaster side, ever since the Kitsune days, Kitsugi at least days. These guys have been playing Overwatch since Overwatch got any popularity in this country. They have been dominating the performance, and when you look at the fact that kind of applies to both teams across this matchup, we're looking for an incredible capability. Really what you kind of alluded to there was how well has this little bit of a shaken up Five Nights, Monarch, Realms amalgamation, how well have they come together to really challenge the best, the people who have been the best for a long time?
Yeah, and it's almost less about the composition or the roster that Five Nights brings, and it's much more about their approach. Their approach to the game seems to have changed. They've been a team in the past, the recent past, sort of as recently as the end of last year at the Ethereal Crown, who's kind of been a lot more chilled about their approach to the game. Not really that focused on practicing or getting good resolution on the meta or anything like that. Kind of just playing for the vibes and relying on their individual talent, of which there is a lot on this team. But you look at the way they're playing now, they're coming in solid with a plan. And I don't want to imply necessarily that they're grinding away, synergizing thousands of hours of practice necessarily, but they've definitely come in with an approach that says we're not here to just have fun, we're here to actually compete and here to win. So that is a nice, I hesitate again to say a nice change, because you always come in with a plan to win, but their approach has felt different as we watch from the outside. Like I said, we've seen this will be our 3rd game we cast of Monarch Five Nights. The other team I mentioned who is kind of milling about in this top 3 is the Vanquish squad, Salmon, Cheetos, Fable, and the rest. They are kind of one of the other top 3 teams, alongside Pink Salamanders, of course, in that top 4. But Five Nights smacked Vanquish around. They looked really, really dominant in their match against Vanquish, off the back of Stalker playing whatever he needs to play, not just what he wants to play, and Jesper Swag on the Venture as well. Teams have been really, really struggling to handle those heroes and those players. So I look forward to seeing whether, again, Inglorious Blasters is just the team to show up and be like, yeah, we know what to do, we know how to win, we know how to beat this team specifically. But that's it, they haven't had the best tournament so far. They've dropped 2 maps, 2 vanquished. already in this season. So they're not coming in as the unbeatable giants that we know them to be.
At the end of the day, when I look at a good team, I don't always necessarily just look at did they clean sweep every one of the maps. You know, maybe they were trying out some new things, maybe they weren't taking it too seriously. But dropping to Vanquish, and with Monarch, Five Knights already showing their dominance against Vanquish, you're going, are we starting to set up a bit of a tiered system right now? The big thing I want to ask of you is, because we spend a lot of time normally at this stage analyzing the players, trying to break down their favorite heroes or the typical compositions that we want to see. I know we are going to probably see a lot of the dive, you know, Hazard Ball. We've got a Stalker around, so Doomfist is always an option. These are the typical things we do right now. What I want to ask you, considering we're looking at two well-established teams, is we have recently, I want to say this year as a whole is pretty recently, had some of the biggest shake-ups to Overwatch that we have ever seen. The introduction of stuff like perks is a big aspect right now. And do you think that alludes to why some of these more experienced players are training again, as opposed to just letting their years and years of Overwatch experience carry them through? Or is it something that hasn't really changed up the game that much that we're still expecting good players to be good players?
Yeah, I think it definitely, that's probably part of it. I think the addition of perks, the better, resolution on the long tail of Overwatch, we have a better sense of what's happening 2-3 seasons from now in the game in general, as opposed to just kind of, flying by the seat of your pants as the new season rolls through. The approach to balance, I think, has been better for a lot of people, and as you say, the introduction of perks has kind of breathed new life into the game in a lot of ways. But I also think just South African Overwatch, that COWZA has put out a more significant and stable template for the way the competitive scene is going to play out for the next year, I think encourages people. Overwatch is an old game by this point, by the standards of many, and to know that come the end of the year there is a plan in place for a kind of cap-off tournament. It really encourages players to get in now, get started early, and really grind through. And as a kind of step from the past as well, the Ethereal Crown would have inspired a lot of people. If there is a LAN at the end of the year, that is, we've had the experience now of 1 year of that. It was awesome. It was so fun for everyone who was able to be there, and you want to be there. There's stories of everything, not like drama stories or anything of Stop Having Land, but you were there, you met people, you interacted with people on that level, and you don't want to miss out next time. So you get in early, you start grinding, and you try and dominate as best you can.
I'll tell you what, that's certainly where I'm aiming at for at the end of the year. I want to be at that LAN. I didn't get a chance last year, so I think a lot of impetus and a lot of motivation for everyone. So let's get into the action right now, right? We're in the end of week 4 out of 5 weeks, and we've got our top 2 teams, got a bunch of maps. Of course, it is first to 3, starting as always on Control Point. And Samoa, probably I think it's still technically the newest of the Control Point maps, but one that's been around for long enough. Bright Sunshine, or what are we expecting to see? I mean, we've got our typical hero bands, Monarch, Five Knights taking out Reinhardt. That's a strange one in the front lines. And I think the more impactful band, Inglorious Blast, is taking out the Venture, just really wanting to keep their back lines nice and safe. Yeah,
this is kind of, it was funny actually when we watched Vanquish and Monarch play each other. It almost felt like, oh, no, that was the Pink Salamanders game. Never mind. It's definitely Zarya. Venture has been the mainstay for Five Knights, and they've been using it so effectively, and it really has been the back of Jesper Swag's Venture. Really dominant player on that hero. A hero that is ultra disruptive. And really, really difficult to play into if you're not well versed in dealing with that. So it makes a lot of sense to take that hero out of the game for now, especially as a neutral first ban. You know that they're going to play it, so put them on the back foot straight off the bat. The Ryan ban is a Zwoom ban. Just make Zwoom play something else. I don't think Ryan is his best hero necessarily, at least from the outside. But it's certainly a hero that if given the opportunity, he will smack you around on. Right. So now he's going to be forced onto the Winston instead. They've got a pretty standard divey composition here with the Tracer, and we're going to see that old standard altruism onto Diablo's Zoom, Tracer Winston. Yep. I look forward to it.
I mean, that is Inglorious Blasters in a nutshell. This entire lineup is huge. Atsu on the Ana is big. Apricornicus. I think that Lucio is still their most played support, but on the other side, pretty similar ideas, but the different execution. Stalker going instead for the hazard. We haven't gotten to see so much of that. I mean, we have seen it a couple of times. It goes along with that sort of Doomfist idea. You got Smiley, the ability to keep everyone mobile around that Stalker hazard, and then Blaine with the damage, and Jesper Swag to try and confirm any of the dive kills. And they started off. Diablo finds himself in a dangerous and unsalvageable position there to lead this to Inglorious Blasters now having to back up, and Monarch Knights wanting to keep on this pressure. They decide to take out the King on the high ground. Jesper Swag doing a great job of it, and while Zoom is trying to control some damage on point, doesn't manage to get too much, does eventually claim the Kiriko kill, but point already ticking up now for Monarch Knights, and well, there's a bit of a trade back and forth. I think that Inglorious Blast is going to be hard-pressed to really wrench control of this out at the end as Zoom has to back up, and Inglorious Blasters, they effectively lose the first point.
That was such a key kill onto Diablo there at the beginning of that. Nick finding that fist just to secure that kill. Such a hard hero to get rid of. But when Diablo's out of the game, that removes a lot of damage from the field, lose a lot of the power on the front line. And that was what they've done. Swoom will go down. Blaine finding that opening kill. Stalker being such a nuisance on this hazard. But they've still got an Auntie in the backline. But the longer this team fight takes out, the better it is for Five Nights.
I think Five Nights is really going to be happy. Jesper Swag picks up 2, looking to turn into a 4 hat trick with the help of the supports and the rest of the Five Nights squad. They managed to claim that out, and I certainly think you were right with this. Monarch seems to be doing really well at isolating targets and then just kind of keeping them busy for as long as it takes someone else to get involved and then clinch out the duel. So Inglorious Blasters need to respect their opponents, that maybe this is not something you can force through. There's going to be Monarch starting the fight out, and he's going to take down straight away. Jesper Swag has no ability to unleash the blade.
Doesn't seem to matter though. Still plenty to fight for here. Five Nights, but they're losing players now. Blaine goes down on Diablo, wreaking havoc in the backline. They commit the ulti here. Stalker, he feels like there's something to play with here, but I think he's alone. But as I say that, he finds a kill on Diablo, will pay for his life eventually. Point has flipped, and Inglorious Blasters finally get some control here, but they've struggled a little bit out. They've struggled to be as sharp as we know they can be. Auntie dropping early in that first team fight, Zoom dropping early in the second. They've yet to hit their stride, and I wonder, as the series goes on, whether they'll find that rhythm, find that synergy that we know they have, just a little bit sharper in the execution, and then there'll be a real threat for Five Nights, Moon Knights to solve.
Now we have all the ultimates. Both teams have an abundance of them, and Glorious Blasters tends to be a little bit more patient with them. Late drop of the nano boost and of the sound barrier, keeping everyone alive, but they've overextended. Stalker and Quiqui on the back line. They just stay still and stay strong. Eventually, we do lose the Kiriko for the Five Nights, but Glorious Blasters, they're the ones with the large deficit, managed to stabilize with the only 3 people that's left, and they've got a couple more ults to invest into this team fight if they need to. Don't feel like they're really required, and Monarch Knights, they came in with a game plan and looked with potential, but lose it out at the end of it.
Dude, Diablo is a freak of nature. I mean, the tracking on that hero is actually, it's disappointing to, it's, you know, if you've ever watched somebody who's really good at play guitar, and you look at them and you're like, damn, I'm human and they are not. That's what it feels like to watch Tracer, Diablo and Tracer, but Zoom, he's no slouch on the Winston either, as he finds a couple of targets here. Fight getting drawn out, but if they can find maybe one more kill, Five Nights, they'll feel like this team fight can be won, but I think it's all over here. Lucio gonna take a swim here. That's gonna be it for this team fight. 90% on the clock. It's not looking good for Five Nights. Maybe not though.
Yeah, that was a bit late though, unfortunately, for Five Nights. They're gonna try and bring whatever they've got left in here. Jesper Swag does have the blade and brings it out, but gets shut down. The King midway through the overclock only needs a single railgun. And Glorious Blasters, you kind of mentioned at the beginning, they were slow to get started. But those neutral fights, eventually they wrenched it towards their side, and then once Ultimate came online, there was basically no contest.
Yeah, on Diablo and Zoom kind of operate as daggers in the night, right? You think you're winning, you think you're in control, and all of a sudden you get a knife to the back that takes out a player here, a player there, and all of a sudden it's a 3v5 or 2v5, and last man standing, you think you're in control. That's why you maybe hold your ulti for a little bit longer than you might need to, like Stalker did there, but... over the course of a long neutral fight, Zoom on Diablo, the One King, they'll just find the kills they need to and kind of drag you down to their level. So up to 5 Knights now, whether they can respond. No changes really on either side. I'm not sure what Blaine was playing in the previous round. I don't believe he was.
That was a Cassidy.
He was on the Cassidy, right? Makes a lot of sense to try and counter out on Diablo, but definitely a hero that makes a lot more sense. But I like Inglourious Blaster's composition a bit more. I like the stability and the just raw DPS that Sojourn offers when compared to the Tracer Genji.
I mean, 5 Knights, they've gone full resources into the dive, and they made it work at the beginning. Aggression meets into the face of their opponents. Swoom now going to be in a dangerous place, does actually manage to loop around, but just leads the team to on Diablo, who's going to take the brunt of that attack. And Zoom decides to actually dive into the point and gets the kill on Blaine. Gotta be feeling it at the end, though. Yes, it is going to be the tank player, but Stalker left pretty much alone. Finally gets the reinforcements from the support that fell early into this. And while 5 Knights, they had the first salvo going their way. They've yet to actually claim possession of this point. No team picking up any sort of percentage just yet. And Inglourious Blasters, they're in and about, still making enough trouble. They're going to force Stalker back and look to threaten. Suzu forced out there on Diablo, still waiting for the next blink to come off cooldown to try to claim it. Zoom now back to the point. Again, wants to clear this up, clinch it up, and again, it's that combo. Zoom on Diablo, they find a pick-a-piece. Suddenly, 5 Knights, they're going to be the ones collapsing backwards. They didn't even get the point in their favor.
I mean, that was just an absolute textbook display of Winston stalling from Zwoom there. His whole team is dead. He finds 1-2 kills in the back line. He then picks off the Tracer with a... Hello? Is he blind? Is he invisible? What's happening here? He just didn't see him. Jesper Swag taken down. He doesn't know what to do when he does not have the drill in his palms, and unfortunately gets drilled in the head there, Auntie, making short work of the Sojourn.
Oh, maybe that's the big thing that taking out the venture does for your side. Is it means that you're the only one who can play the dive aspect. Nearly chases your opponents out there. Tuesday going to be forced out, and Zoom just ends up battering the wall, losing a lot of HP, but does push his opponents back. Now Monarch Knights, though, then come forward with the Kitsune Rush, throwing everything into this. They stayed alive through their early engage of Inglourious Blasters, and they're up 3-1 in this fight. So finally a chance for them to come back. Zoom, as always, looking to delay this for as long as the Winston is going to allow. Let's go all the way out to the edge of the lava, and again now just hand off that roll to on Diablo. They're able to tick it up time and time again, and eventually 66%. Not a bad start here for Inglourious Blasters with Monarch Knight.
It's actually insane watching these two idiots just dominate a team by themselves. There's always one of them somewhere that you have to deal with, and if you ever played against a good diver, you know how hard they are to handle, and that's what we're seeing here. Zoom in once again, straight onto Jesper Swag. Yeah, look at that, tracking him like a tracer. He's not going to find the kill just yet. The support is there. They force out the sound barrier though when they track down Zoom. Pulse Bomb not on the money here, and that might be it for Inglourious Blasters in this team fight. It's not everything to play for, though. They've only lost one player so far.
The one player is Woom, though. That is the big aspect of it. The big monkey and where they can control and who they can hunt down. Does give Monarch Knights the percentage still. Carries on ticking up to that 45%. So great stabilization. It did invest the sound barrier out of Smiley, though, to keep their Jesper Swag alive and see if that was worth it. Jesper Swag now tops back up. Well, there was a nice anti-heal grenade in the middle of that Inglourious Blasters on the back of Atsu would have liked to capitalize on, but they can't get anything. Still Jesper finding another off angle. The overclock just run out, but so close on the Lucio. Would have been great, but falls to their counterpart on the Sojourn. Still trading out pretty evenly right now. I think 5 Knights could be happy with this lane just keeping check from the right-hand side. Can Diablo get into that backline? Looking for this right now. Glorious Blasters also still do have that nano boost that they want to drop into this, but they're going to have to get past the hazard. Can't get to the point. Grenade cannot be counted out there. Doesn't at least get the Kitsune Rush down for the Monarch Knights. Give Smiley some space. Stalker going to take advantage, take down both of the support players. And Monarch Knights, they've still got control of the point. They just need to clear this off, and they might be able to win this. Doing Glorious Blasters. Boom! You've got a gigantic angry monkey form left if you need it, but he doesn't get it off.
He doesn't pop his ultimate there. Primal Rage in the locker as he goes down. Diablo drops as well. Apricornicus going down. It's not looking good for Inglorious Blasters in this team fight. Last man standing. Atu's wounds coming in. He's got that ult. He doesn't get the touch. No, he doesn't. Just barely not able to get his fat butt on there. And that's going to be it for Inglorious Blasters on this map. All evened up.
Man, that one button press. If Swoom had gotten off the ultimate there at the end, I think we could have actually been dragging that out, and it would have been maybe even in the favor of Inglorious Blasters with the reinforcements coming off, but he just couldn't. I don't know if he just died quicker than he expected, but Monarch Knights, they took the neutral fight, they laid down some great ultimates, even at the expense of their own lives, and when they give themselves just that late desperate rally into a fight, it seems like they're not one to count out. Even when they're on the deficit, they just bring magic from the depths of despair.
Magic, you say? Interesting. We spoke about Moon now, we're talking about magic. Every time I watch these players throw ultimates at the end of team fights, I'm like, oh guys, come on, you can use that next round. That's not how this game works, but we do see Stalker moving forward. Yeah, he's been excellent on the hazard. We haven't really highlighted it that much as we need to, but he's been an absolute superstar. It makes perfect sense. A player that excels on Doomfist will excel on that as well, and he gets rid of one of the tips of the double-tipped spear that is the Inglorious Blasters.
Still enough to trade out though as Jesper Swag goes down. It's a Sojourn for a Tracer. The Tracer going to be able to come back in no time. Oh, nearly losing the Sojourn of their own. The King just manages to slide out, and Stalker would have loved to shut that off. We're making a lot of nuisance.
Oh my god.
And, pretty much neglected and left alone in this fight as the backline put under serious pressure. Yeah, still somehow Zoom finds the security, manages to get back towards his team after doing the damage into the backline of the Monarch Knights. The point though, the important objective in the hands of Monarch Knights. They're going to be happy to let this trickle down as long as Inglorious Blast is not finding the advantage. When Diablo finds your trade, your support on the back line, you lose your tank after that as well. Monarch Knights, they're going to get the first tick up, but it's going to be the late show brought down by Inglorious Blasters.
What a fascinating game, Altruism. Two tanks kind of desperately trying to find opportunities, trying to find chinks in the armor of their opponents, and at different times, different tanks are winning it out. It's really, really difficult to stay alive against Omti and Zoom, or against Blaine, Jesper, and Stalker, and that's really what it comes down to. How long can you live? Can you buy enough time for your backline, your front line to do the damage?
The sleep means Stalker shut in place after that ultimate comes out. Would have loved to take down the supports and somehow still manages to do it. Picks up both of them. War attrition now going to be in the favor of Monarch Knights, but they've got no one left to chink away at their opponents. You talk about finding the chinks in the armor, and it seems like Inglorious Blasters, even when they are resorting to the most desperate situations, still manage to find it out. Points keeps ticking up on Inglorious Blasters, and now the big point. Monarch Knights has got ultimates where Inglorious Blasters are dry.
I'll spam on the money there. That's going to get rid of Zoom very quickly. Blaine, the follow-up is good. Jesper Swag has the overclock at the ready, not using it just yet, but this is good play from the Inglorious Blasters. Now they move forward. They forced out sound barrier. They haven't used anything. They've got their own sound barrier, and with the point flip, they can die now and know that they've bought a little bit more time for their team. So yes, a very strong fight from Monarch 5 Knights, but once Zoom went down, Inglorious Blasters recognized there was nothing more to that team fight.
And whatever they could pull out, like you said, the late sound barrier was an absolute gift towards them. Now Monarch with only the overclock available for this, and they decide to trade it out between the two teams. Who's going to get the key point? Ghost Blasters, though, they're so much more stalwart because of that sound barrier, and they use it to their full advantage. Takes out 2, traded back the other way, though. 109 Knights are not out of this just yet. Big aspect of this post support down for the Knights. Worm comfortable to sit on the point and under the cover of that bubble. And now the 2-pronged attack of Ontiablo and Worm. They chase down anyone left alive. Apocornicus and Toad to help them out and keep them alive. And Monarch Knights, it was a good fight for a while, but one more fight is all that Inglorious Blasters need to take out this entire map.
They've got Primal Rage, they've got Pulse Bomb at the ready, almost Nano Boost to boot. Couple of ultis close by as well for Five Nights. Could be an explosive team fight. I think first kill here might just win it. And Stalker, he's looking at Zwoom, he's looking at Auntie, but Zwoom, he's in the back line now, looking to find the Sojourn. But great support, great peel once again from the supports.
But they've dived in too deep. There's no one touches the points. Okay.
Oh my god.
Everyone was so concerned with taking their fights wherever outside of the point. The Glorious Blasters, they scatter, Delta 9 Force, and
oh my god.
Monarch, you forgot something.
There was just, I mean, I don't know about you, I was like the players, not cognizant of at all that the game was about to end. I was like watching the bottom right, checking out what's happening in Monarch's backline, checking out what was happening in IB's backline, and my brain did not clock that we were milliseconds away from the round ending, and apparently that was just the poison infecting the game in that moment, because there were 10 players in the game and not a single one of them were on the point. That it was just vacant, and there you go, map 1 done. I think Five Nights will feel hard done by. They'll feel like there was every opportunity that they win that team fight. I believe they had just seconds after the round ended lost a player, so they were definitely on the back foot, but Alt's coming up, anything can happen. But what a fascinating match, Alt. We haven't seen anything like this in the summer series so far. It's been a lot of brawl, it's been a lot of different compositions fighting into each other, but this is two teams at the peak of their powers when it comes to dive and dominating. We haven't seen any Hazard in the summer series, we haven't seen any Hazard from Stalker in the summer series, and he's bringing that out now and showing a completely different dynamic. But we have to look at the bans again, Altruism, and ask ourselves, how different does the Venture make this game look? Is that the panacea for all of Five Nights' ills, or is it just another red herring here that Inglorious Blasters have identified? But IB will take a look at this match and they'll say, cool, we're in firm control, our strengths are working out for us. Omni Knights, Diablo, Zwoom, two players at the peak of their powers, synergizing expertly after that opening salvo where they struggled a little bit. And if one of them isn't killing you, the other one isn't far away. So it's really difficult to deal with, but credit where it's due. The supports for both teams have been excellent at peeling and keeping each other alive here. We don't often give the backline credit for that kind of thing, but this is it doesn't get harder than this in South African Overwatch when it comes to keeping your backline alive, and both the supports have been excellent, doing an incredible job of keeping themselves and each other in the fight for as long as they have been, because these fights have been so drawn out.
Yeah, I mean, how many times was it actually the support that was the first kill in any of these fights? It was almost always someone like Diablo, which when you're expecting an Diablo tracer, that's not an easy pick to get in the first place. It's just that Diablo and everyone else is being forced into these very dangerous situations, trying to chase down that desperate last little bit. Like you say, I mean, you even said it in the middle of that, like a very last team fight that we got to see. The King was under so much pressure on the Sojourn and still somehow managed to stay alive. You saw the teleports from the Kirikos. We see the Lucio's backing up and being able to both boot people away, kind of like pseudo Brigitte style of keeping the space on the diving tanks and healing up everyone, just skirting everyone around. I really do like the fact that both teams are running the Sojourn from that aspect, because the single dive of whether it's the Hazard or the Winston, you can get then out of it and create that distance, so it's really good. But like you say, there's a lot of synergy coming out from everyone. Everyone understands the game plans. And while you made the comment that Inglorious Blasters is feeling comfortable with that victory, it didn't feel like they had a really comfortable journey to get there. I mean, it was 2-1 by the end of it. Neutral fights going both ways, ultimate fights going both ways. Bare seconds between Worm touching the point at the end of map number 2, or even this last one, the C9. There are tiny little brushes with death that is really differentiating these two teams right now.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you got a 1 in the W column in this series so far, and that's comforting.
Yes.
in a series this close, you'll take a win like that any day of the week, because victories are so hard to come by when you're facing a team as strong as Five Nights. So if you can sneak a free win like this, you'll take it. You'll feel good about it as well, and it wounds your mental if you are Five Nights here, just a tiny bit. But Five Nights will know, look, that was our game to win. That's how you approach it if you're a competitive player. We were going to win that team fight. It doesn't matter the truth of the matter. It doesn't matter what was actually happening on the ground. We were going to win that team fight. We just need to be a little bit sharper about getting ourselves on the point. There may also have been mitigating circumstances, it has to be said. We weren't keeping an eye 100% on everything. Maybe Zoom was in the face, fists out, punching away and preventing people from getting in. A good boop here or there can make it look a lot sillier than it actually was in practice. But yeah, it's Five Nights will look at this and say, right, reset, next game, we're in control. And do they ban the Hazard? Do they ban the Doomfist? Do they ban whatever? That's the decision that IB need to make now.
And the big thing now, Venture's unlocked, right?
Yeah.
We did mention it earlier. Venture is something that has the potential, whether it's actually going to come out. So we don't put all your chips in the Venture basket right now. Hey, there's an Easter pun for you guys. Don't put all your eggs in the Venture. You guys. But right now we get to a much more predictable map style. Dorado is one that we saw yesterday, actually. Omni Knight versus Anomaly. Anomaly restricted this completely. And the ban comes out, and Five Nights goes, you know what? We do not like that monkey. That monkey was certainly something that they had to deal with, and certainly putting a lot of pressure on the tank role here from the Five Nights.
I think the Kiriko ban's a fascinating one, right? We spoke about how important the peel was on both teams, but the very first kill of the match out was Queequeg fan, aka Nick, getting that opening salvo on Antiablo. And I wonder if that's just not Antiablo saying, I don't want to deal with that hero, guys. If we take that hero out, our opportunities to find kills drastic goes up.
Yeah.
And so that's a way that they can try and pry their way through the Five Nights backline. Taking away the Winston feels like a no-brainer. Really, it does. It does two things. It gets rid of the Winston, which makes Woom a lot weaker on a map where dive is extremely popular, on this first point especially. And on top of that, it means they can't ban a tank either. So you're protecting Stalker's picks here. He does go for the Zarya, and they do go for the Venture as well on Five Nights. This has been their bread and butter. The Zarya, the fact that she gets the extra boop on her right click now, means she's much better at controlling high grounds than she was in the past. So it's a hero that's been kind of given a little bit of a new lease on life in that way. And on the other side, they've subbed in none other than Mr. Sterling Silver himself to apply his trade on the Soldier and the Widowmaker. Wouldn't surprise me to see him lock the Widow here out the gate, but his Soldier is his hero. We know him for the Widowmaker, but I chatted to him at the LAN and he was like, nah, Soldier's where that worst hero in the game, and that's why I insta-lock it every time.
I mean, his full name is Sterling Ames, and he lives up to that because this man has the tracking of a god. I've seen his training packs and his montages. He can chew through anyone. So very excited to see it, and nearly taken out early into this game. Going to be a consistent pressure to be reckoned with. Blame going to have a hard job to try and take that down. Or Jesper Swag are going to have to get in nice and early, and decides to go in there, forces a pinch in to Sterling, and Sterling is going to be the first casualty. Really nice execution from Five Nights to take control of the high ground, and all the tracking so close there. And Lucio gets out at the end, but it's Five Nights. They're in control of this first point, and I mean, they're scattering, they're moving, they're mobile, and they're still working as a complete unit.
I was just about to say, you can see the effect the Winston ban has as well, right? It forces Woom onto the Diva if he wants to play that same kind of playstyle, but now he has moved onto the Reinhardt. We saw the insta ban or the opening ban coming out onto the Reinhardt. Woom's about to show us why. It does look a bit like he's running back towards Spawn to switch onto a different hero, though. So we'll have to wait and see. No, he's back in the mix now, so he's going to look to really wreak havoc with that hammer.
And that's a difficult hero to play into this right now. There's a lot of damage in there. And again, Jesper Swag hunts down Sterling. No freedom to move around the high ground. And even tracks the Lucio. Apricordicus, you did not deserve to die there. And then a nice little bubble on top of it. Eventually going to go down to the pin from Zoom. But I mean, everyone was there, and it seems to have put himself into a dangerous position. They've lost it.
Wow,
It's
okay.
Swoom out of the back line, takes down Stalker, finds
my
a
God.
second fire strike in a row, and suddenly Inglourious Blasters have some momentum.
Hello, Sterling. Maybe you should take notes from Zoom here, sniping people with the fire strikes. I mean, they banned this hero for a reason, Alton. We're starting to get a sense of why, but that was great work from the whole squad. Venture coming in here, Jess was like looking for a target, not going to find anything juicy, anything tasty. In fact, he's going to get slapped as he comes out. The ball is great, though. They've been so good with this combination of heroes. Stalker on the Zarya, Jesper on the Venture, but Jesper goes down in the backline. Zoom, nanoed up, looking for targets in the enemy backline, but they've capped the first point already, so that's going to be the march on for Inglourious Blasters.
No, I mean, you can see when they actually get a bit of freedom, they utilize
Ooh.
it to the full extent of the map. Diablo decides to track his opponents down to the spawn. Zoom sitting on 200 HP, still decides to go in for this. Has got that Earth Shatter looking to come around the corner, but presses that up. Now needs to worry though. He's been popped up, he's been pinned, he's got a Zarya holding up some charge in front of him. There's going to be Jesper Swag again, and still he's got a shield bouncing back, decides to charge. Eventually gets taken down there. I don't know where Atsu was to try to get that going, but I mean, there's still the Inglourious Blasters getting into the backline. Smiley has work to do to try and top everyone up, and finally the Monarch Knights, they stabilize.
How many games have I had where we've just experienced what Zoom experienced, where you're just running back and you're getting booped, you're getting pulled in, you're getting pushed forward, you just have no control of your own hero, and eventually you die. It's really unfortunate timing, but they've got Earth Shatter, they've got sights as well, so they've got opportunities to fight, but they'll be fighting into this Juno ultimate and Graviton Surge.
This is a great way to do it, and throws out that Earth Shatter, decides to take their opponent completely off the high ground, and this is now a dangerous position for Zoom because Inglourious Blasters, they don't have that mobility of support to keep up. They're going to be taken down as he tries to close the distance. There's the aggression of Inglourious Blasters has managed to at least track their Reinhardt to the extent of the Earth, and kind of that charge removing their opponents from the presence of the orbital ray was an interesting strategy, but it works out.
Yeah, and it forced Smiley to follow as well, which kind of split the team fight up, and that just gives space for Diablo and Sterling to find angles, find shots, and find kills, and that's what they did so well. They haven't even used the sights. Sterling's got a point to prove. He says, why would I use aimbot when I am aimbot? Let's wait and see if he can find it here. Can they get this kill? No, Sterling, got to hit those. We hit those, Sterling! Unfortunately, but here comes the aimbot. Please follow the grab to counter that immediately, but it's not enough.
I mean, that's an interesting way to counter it out. You can't really poke into it if you could get the soldier kill immediately. But Sterling, he just has the firing range. He burns through with that wonderful pulse rifle. And Monarch Knights, they give up that second point. And Inglourious Blasters took a little bit of time to get into it. Sterling, okay. But just casually going to send you back to the very close spawn.
It do be that way, Altruism. Sometimes you cop a headshot and then you have to go back. Blamed is not done though. Finds Diablo as well, but this is okay. They're not really getting in a position here to contest the card. Actually, they are. The Venture is in once again, but Blaine building up charge on the rifle here, looking for targets. They've got the Tectonic Overcharge as well, so quite a few ults to work with. Sterling once again under pressure. Won't get taken down just yet though.
Jesper Swag's going in aggressive, has already used so much of the ability to try to pop up over the wall. And everyone while watching the Venture does forget about the Surgeon on the high ground. Picks up on Diablo. He's been the first casualty a couple too many times. Jesper Swag though does seem to overstay their welcome. Zoom has been great on the front line. You don't typically see the Reinhardt being able to really grab hold of the annoying little mole person. So gonna have a chance into this room now. Also has the ability to get that Earth Shatter despite the anti-heal on top of them. Pinstalker against the wall, sends the Ramantra back to spawn, and Jesper Swag having re-engaged into the fight, trying to claw it back, does manage to claim out Atsu, but not a lot more to offer to this fight. And Inglourious Blasters, they keep the payload moving.
1 minute 51 left on the clock pretty much. This is looking very good for Inglourious Blasters. Anytime you can finish Dorado, you'll feel pretty good. And they might just get a free win here. Stalker going on the back. He does get the touch just in the nick of time. They've got the overclock going now, but it's counted out by the sound barrier. Apricornicus coming in clutch for his team. Stalker on the high ground again. Point. Nobody there, just barely gets the touch in time.
And this is Inglorious Blasters. They've invested everything early. Abercorn has decided to use a preemptive beat out there, but they didn't manage to get any of the kills. Monarch Knights, with a minute 17, have at least stabilized towards the end. Still Inglorious Blasters coming in with a lot. Monarch Knights have got to rely on Smiley for picking out the biggest sound barrier to counter anything. And when you're looking at a nano visor on the hands of Sterling, this top high ground is everything to play for.
Yeah, but it's a nano visor into a diva, so it's going to be tough to find an angle. They start off here, no nano, actually just popping the visor here. Nano goes onto Reinhardt instead on the front line. He's going to look to find kills, and they're all just splitting away almost once again. Yes, they do out another, not nearly as egregious C9, but they had chips to play with there, and they chose to leave the casino with them in their pockets.
I mean, I don't know how much we can, again, it comes back to that. Is that really a C9 when your options are running at the nano-boosted Reinhardt? I mean, what is your choices there? We can't kill the Reinhardt. We need to be on point. But unless we can stabilize and hide behind some big shield, Sterling's still sitting on the high ground. He's busy chewing through two of our players already. And you talked about the Diva's role in terms of shutting that down. The Diva is the only one who can really try and go to point. So what, you send your Diva up to the high ground, everyone's already so split up that it's tough to shut down all the angles anyway. I think it was just, you couldn't let them get to the high ground, and Inglorious Blasters, they knew they win condition, they played it out well, and a full cap of Dorado is an impressive start here, at least for IB.
Yeah, 44 seconds in the bank to boot. But it's been a real intelligent display from Inglorious Blasters. We've always known they're a smart team. You don't be as good as they are without being smart. But what's really jumped out has been their talent, has been their skill, has been their mechanical prowess, the aim, that sort of thing. But we're seeing smart play, and you highlighted it there. Send Sterling on the high ground, but the Nano is much better served on Zoom. Allow him to create a presence on the point, get that extra HP and damage, and just mean that you can't just ignore the point and shut down Sterling, shut down two ultimates with a single defense matrix. So do come now to the second point. Stalker wishing he could play the Winston here, perhaps, as he's now on the Divas. Woom has said, I'm a Reinhardt main. You've banned the Reinhardt. And you lost that game. What's the plan next?
Now, just try and at least identify how to get close up to these Inglorious Blasters players. Meanwhile, all the time you're waiting, and it's going to be on Diablo in your backline, taking out the... What is that? Zoom? Actually decides to drop the shield on 100 HP and makes it work. Has full awareness and faith in the teammates. Shows the aggression. Glorious Blasters shuts down the first foray onto the high ground from the Five Knights. And I mean, it's everyone doing their job again. On Diablo, taking out an Echo is impressive on a Tracer.
Yeah, a lot of switches here coming to this next team fight, though. They've moved now onto the Brigitte. They've moved onto Smiley, Juno again, and they're still running this Diva. But how do they get in here? That's the question. Can they find a way around back, perhaps? But Zoom, he's been such a monster on this Reinhardt that you can't just let him do his thing. He will find kills with Stalker in the backline now, looking for targets. But once again, the backline too strong to be shut down.
I mean, right now you can see Monarch, they want to dive this high ground. Stalker goes up once more, but has no one with them. By the time they reach there and that first defense matrix goes down, you've lost both of your DPSs behind you. Blaine, Jesper decides, you know what? We can't get up to them. I don't need to. I'm going to take the Widowmaker into my hands. I think Smiley just going there for the reset. It's now going to be up to Zoom and the natural cover. No, Jesper goes back to the old favored. Not going to try to rest all their hopes on a couple of headshots.
Also, you know why I don't play Widow, right? One, I'm bad. Two,
I'm
always worried that I'm going to pick Widow and there's going to be an enemy Widow main on the enemy team and they're going to embarrass me. And that's how it feels watching people pick Widow into Sterling sometimes. But he doesn't even need to go the Widow here on the Soldier, finding kill after kill. This team looks absolutely unstoppable at the moment.
Right now, I do have a mild sense that Five Knights is clutching at straws rather than coming in with a designated game plan. That was everywhere. There was a million fights happening, and Glorious Blasters dealt with them sequentially. 3 people are going to take out the Venture, then they're going to turn to the Smiley, and then at this stage, I think Glorious Blasters is going to be happy every time they get forced into duels.
Oh, where was Smiley now? Oh, she was on the right-hand side here with the Echo, and Diablo just tracked her down and ended her short life as he wins, winning the duel here as well. Again, another one where you're like, I wouldn't ever put myself in a position where I'm dueling with Diablo on Tracer, but Blaine is better than me, and he's not doing too bad of a job here at the moment. But look at the knowledge, man. He knew Mini was there, and now he's just going to kill him, I suspect. What a freak. I've said it before, but what an absolute monster.
And that's what we like to see. This is what the pinnacle of Overwatch in South Africa should look like, is guys who can do this, who have that awareness. I've played my own character so well. You got to come into my house and take a Tracer duel against me? Dorado, not an easy map to push through, it shows, when you're up against an indomitable team.
Stalker, you said clutching at straws. Here's straw number 3 or 4 or whatever it is. Now onto the ball, just looking to create as much chaos as possible. But this does not feel like a cohesive squad at the moment. Jesper Swag on the Echo, almost up to his ulti. Kukwek fan low, and Zoom, he recognizes that. He's looking for targets on the low ground, but it's a very split fight at the moment.
Oh, up onto the high ground, forces out the sound barrier from Apricornicus. A really nice time for that to go. Oh no, Diablo, you did not just do that onto both the supports. Desperate last moments, but is there anything Five Nights can really bring through? Blaine going to be able to pick up a single solitary kill, but it really didn't come down to whether that last capture point there for IB was 3 points in the bag. They only needed 1.
Yeah, I mean, that was utter domination. Sterling here will pick up play of the game as well, but this defense never once looked like breaking. I mean, we can count on one hand the number of players that even died for Inglourious Blasters here, as Sterling finds one, finds the second one. Really, really impressive stuff from Inglourious Blasters. And the script flips now completely on its head. Map 1 was such a close affair. Now it's looking like the dominance we've seen from Inglourious Blasters throughout this team's whole existence. Absolute domination. You look at Vanquish and you go, how good must you guys be to take 2 maps off this? But we've seen them lose to Monarch in a similar fashion. So this is exactly what you want to see, Altruism. It's not like we've seen in South African Overwatch in the past, where one team puts the community on notice and wins every single match that they play in. They drop no maps. You know who I'm thinking about here, and they just dominate every tournament they play in. But that's not the case here. We've got some back and forth. We've got a little bit of a triangle forming here with teams beating each other out. But at the moment, Inglourious Blasters in this series, they're making Five Nights look like amateurs.
Yeah, and this is where I'm very interested to see how map 3 goes. Even if IB takes it, I really want this to be a close affair, because I don't think that Five Nights is a team that we should be counting out. I do think that we should have some sort of big triangular love triangle at the top there, or hate triangle. I don't know what the exact word, competitive triangle, shall we say. I don't want it to be that this was only close on a control point map, because those are the most tempestuous of the game types, where you're going, okay, it's more scattered, it is a better place for the broken style of Five Nights to have an opportunity to shine. When we get to Dorado, when we get to push maps, when we get to these sort of hybrid, anything like that, that's where you get to see the real distinguishing factor between a strong team and a weak team, or like any sort of gap between them gets exacerbated when you get that sort of defined rollout, if you want, through a map. We saw it there in Inglourious Blasters. They needed one fight to go their way, and then they took control of the entire map. For the next 200 meters was all red zone on the push. So
yeah, no, it was really a dominant display from Inglourious Blasters. But you mentioned hybrid or escort maps, and we do have another hybrid here. So at least if Five Nights go down, they'll go down in familiar territory. It will be King's Road for map number 3. Makes a lot of sense. If you're feeling uncomfortable, put yourself in your most comfortable space. But you look at this and you go, this is Reinhardt's playground, right? This is where Zoom goes. He's rubbing his little hands together, licking his lips and going, yes, this looks like a delightful meal to consume Five Nights here and take a quick 3-0 victory in the summer series. Okay. But we'll have to wait and see. IB, they take out the hazard. It's a good ban. I think Stalker looked really solid on that hero in map number 1. And Five Nights, this is the last chance saloon here. If you're ever going to win, it's going to start here. So you've got to take that Tracer out.
I like that cripple of the Antiablo. It's certainly not the only character, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see Antiablo bring out the Mei. I do think he plays Mei, right?
I think so. I think.
Pretty sure we've seen Antiablo.
Have they made
Mei
any
before,
subs
but-
here? No. So Sterling will play Soldier. And then
Widow.
He didn't play Widow on Dorado, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's like, I'm a Soldier main, I play Soldier, that's what I do. But I hope we see his Widow. His Widow is one of the scariest Widows in the country. And that's it. Antiablo there's no slouch on the Widowmaker either, actually.
True, actually.
So it wouldn't shock me to see him come out of the gate with the French Assassin.
I do like the taking out of the hazard. There's been a lot of priority towards the tank bans in this, and I'm not surprised. You know, Zwoom, Stalker, they have a big role to play in terms of threatening the backline. And it is going to be a little bit more brawl coming out from the Knights. Jesper Swag going to be taking up their Mei of their own, and no Mei to be spotted on the other side. And there is no way Abracornicus is really teasing out the Life Weaver right now.
Yeah, that's correct. There is no way. So moving on, Stalker is on the Ramatra. I like this, but he's expecting the Reinhardt, but he's in for a shock if Zwoom does stick on the Doomfist. I always wonder about Zwoom on the Doomfist. I feel like I only ever see him play it against Five Knights, and I feel like it's just a flex on Stalker and really crack his mental like a rotten egg, because it's not really his best hero, if I remember correctly. He excels on your more traditional tanks, and that's not to say he can't play everything. He can. Whoops, no Life Weaver, who could have guessed? We'll have to wait and see what they can get done here on the side of IB with a different composition to what they've been running so far.
A lot of mobility going to be defining this, so where the battleground comes down is up to these Lucio players. Smiley versus Abracornicus to control the tempo of this, and who's able to play the footsie battle a little bit more. Stalker charges in there. It is Inglorious Blasters who managed to make their way through that first choke point and made their presence on the point found. Dive through from Zwoom, and Not start chasing this into the background, but you do not want to put all your attention onto that Doomfist for too long unless you can confirm it. It is going to be Nick claiming that in the beginning. Sterling gets a nice trade out there. There's Monarch Knights, they're stabilized, and Glorious Blasters not going to give this up. They're not ready to turn tail back towards their side of the map. Got it Sterling up on the high ground, going to actually be dropping down here. No turning towards the hills. Monarch Knights, it took a lot of kills. It was an unsteady footing the whole way through, but they seem to have held off the first attempt. And Glorious Blasters, though, they're not going to waste any time. They're back in already. Zwoom is here, taking the punches, taking the fight, takes out their opponent's tank, and now looking to pin at this poor Lucio. Who's finally going to have that wiped off their face, and off the base of the earth that goes to Lucio. And Glorious Blasters halfway up on point number one, pretty confirmed to take the rest of it.
I mean, there you see the power of this comp on First Point Kings Row, right? They lost that first team fight, but it kind of dragged out. And that means Zwoom, with the extended mobility, with the Lucio, etc., they've got the capacity to come back into this team fight before reinforcements of their opponents do. And they were able to kill their kill on Stalker, and from there, it kind of just unraveled for Five Knights. Now they're getting forced back once again. This is something that Inglorious Blasters have been so good at. We saw it on Dorado, just taking space, controlling the map so effectively after getting that first point cap.
And I mean, Zwoom again. It's about the down all the way to the backline. Still, Monarch Knights, they ignore the Doomfist, and they decide to take this fight themselves. Full aggression mode. Really nice shield to come up and create some space, and they run through. Where is Zwoom in all of this? Finally joins in and trying to chase down into the support lineup, but decides to dive down. He's actually going to be taken out. 60 HP, 50 HP, 30 HP, and a dream. It's Monarch Knights. They take control of this game in the most preemptive fashion I've seen from them.
A very, very sharp play from them, popping a few speed abilities. Kitsune Rush and the speed boost. Stalker, though, nap time. The wall is on the wrong side of Stalker. Has to be dropped immediately, but Quick fan. His Kiriko was banned in the last game. Now he's able to pop off. But speaking of popping off here, the big man with the big ultimate is not winning this out that comfortably, though. We'll get it done eventually.
Takes the time. It eventually does win it, though. Now forces out the Mayar's block. Oh, reads that it's going to be counted out, and Jesper Swag, suddenly in a dangerous position, gets taken down. You wanted to take the fight into the hands of one of the best aimers in South Africa, and it costs you. Glorious Blasters getting chased back to their own spawn, deciding to come back in and take full aggression. Look at that, all the way up to point number 3.
Yeah, Sterling kind of just put the team on his back there. Got one with the ultimate, got another, and then a third just with the aim, and a fourth even of straggling kills. So heads up play from Sterling as now Stalker looking to match up against Zwoom on the Doomfist. Just for swag though, he's found one, they found two, they found a third, and once again it's her route. 2 minutes, 3 minutes on the clock here, but every time blasters fire through, Five Nights fire back just as quick.
What do you think of this change of Stalker? Now we go literally fist to fist, hand to hand between the two Doomfists.
I like it, man. You feel comfortable, but Zwoom, he finds an opening kill onto Smiley. He's got the nano boost as well now, looking to get aggressive, but a good Blizzard will keep the team separated out. Sterling, though, takes down Nick. Sterling takes down Stalker. Sterling takes down the entire Five Nights squad pretty much as great legwork all while Zwoom. The timing is too good. He's no slouch in this. I hope it didn't make you think he was bad on this hero.
Yeah, that's what we have definitely been alluding to this entire time, right?
Yeah.
Just, these guys don't know what they're doing in this game. No, of course they do, and that's why they're here fighting it out to see who's going to break the deadlock. And Glorious Blasters, with 2 games in hand already, looking to show that they are still the indomitable force of South Africa. Monarch 5 Nights, they are here, they are fighting it out, and Sterling, he goes forward on no HP, eventually does get taken out. Stalker mans up against this and holds it firm at the very final point. Monarch, they are not ready to give up that second point. The punch up into the air. They need to worry about Boom, who's back onto the point, staying alive just a little bit. Payload held out 3.5 meters though. And there is Stalker, of course. Now he's going to be hunting down its opposition.
He wanted Zwoom so bad there, but Zwoom finding the angle to get out. Stalker, though, he will track him down. Jesper, it was a railgun shot as well through there, so everybody working together to secure the kill onto the enemy Doomfist. Now they can move forward. Stalker is going to show you how it's done. He said, I've been playing too many other heroes here. It's time for Old Faithful. Stalker and his Doomfist not able to secure the kill there, but doing enough to bring his team another team fight victory. We go from one spawn to the other Ultraism. This time, Monarch 5 Nights in control.
I mean, we've been watching Zwoom's Doomfist for a while now, and yet out of the two of them, I associate Doomfist more with Stalker.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's so good to see him coming out there, just again, like you say, going onto that comfort pick, and it's working for them. 30 seconds left. They need to just hold one more team fight. They've lost a couple of people early into this, but taking the team fight so in such an aggressive position will allow these people to come back. They just cannot afford to lose anyone else right now. Jesper Square going to be coming in with that ultimate. Payload now just on the edge. They've got 3 people on it. They just need Stalker to get back into this. And there's no touch. He gets to half a second too late.
Oh man, this was a winnable team fight, I think. But look, it was always going to be a tough hold here. You were down so many players. Now it's just about setting up to hold this third point. But they need to group up here properly. They can't afford to lose a couple of stragglers here. But Sterling, he's positioned so aggressively. Sorry, not Sterling, on Diablo. Needs to be careful here on the front lines, but will back up here. So all 5 even again. Lots of ults to work with here for both teams. This could be an explosive final fight.
Oh, here comes the drop of all the ultimates. It was the Dragon Blade that started off, and Jesper Swag showing why he needs to be reckoned with when that Dragon Blade comes out. He even manages to get back towards the side, despite the best attempts of Apricorn. There was a sound barrier. Please tell me I wasn't crazy. There was a sound barrier in that last fight.
No, it might have been the perk effect that has a sound barrier effect. As the dashes come through, just for boost on the soldier. It's good. 1, 2, 3. Count him up. Sterling coming in clutch. He recognizes what he needs to do as well. Gets his body on point. There's still people behind you, by the way, but he's looking forward. He just wants to kill people in their spawn as Sterling. Just for swag, taken down. Stalker will drop Sterling with the 4 kills in that team fight. IB looking to close this one out.
And they've got the opportunity. They are pushed up against once more into the fight. And it's an amazing leapfrogging mentality that they've got. You saw Sterling charging forward, leaving the people behind them to try and make sure that there's no reinforcements, knowing that he has teammates behind them. 5 meters away, someone's going to have to get in. They're coming out from behind that big anti-heal grenade, but reinforced here. Sound barrier from both sides going to make this a long, drawn-out fight. Stalker, though, the one taking the brunt of the damage, the one facing the annihilation, does eventually go down, but it's straight back and forth. Blue, red, kind of fighting it down. There's a 2v3 on point. It is going to be Zwoom into the air, comes back in after the ultimate. with a spawn advantage. 159, they may have just been able to hold it out, and it's Doomfist versus Genji. Dash into the air, minuscule amounts of health. He gets alive, he stays alive for long enough. Stalker manages to make his way back onto the point. Swoon with an impossible task ahead of them does eventually go down. Sterling, one more time. How many kills can you get? Unfortunately, nothing. And Glorious Blasters held back at the loss.
Oh, wipe the sweat off your brow, out viewers, everybody. That was a tight game at the end there. 1 kill away. Zoom just not able to find that final salvo to get rid of Jesper Swag and buys just enough time for Stalker to come back in on the Doomfist, and at that point it's all elementary, but everything to play for here. They don't quite secure that final point cap, so Monarch 5 Knights know exactly how far they need to push to take us to a game number 4. But what a fascinating display. We're back to what we saw on our first map here with Dive versus Dive, Doom versus Doom, Stalker versus Zoom. And at the moment, IBU are in the driver's seat. But momentum will favor 5 Knights now. I think they started off slow on this map, but they held the streets phase very effectively. Were unlucky almost not to be able to get that final touch on the final point, on the second point. But they'll feel comfortable knowing that they can take Inglourious Blasters, punch for punch here. But we saw what their defense looked like, IB, and this is a lot like Dorado. You can set up nicely on the high grounds. You can set up a proper defense and look to shut them down. And once again, Zoom back onto his old faithful, back onto the Reinhardt as Stalker searches for an answer.
It's still basically the same job that you need to do now as 5 Knights. You still need to get it to the end, but the knowledge that you can clinch it out with a single round, that this doesn't have to go back to a reset, is big for them. They're going to be coming in through on the most reliable play style, or at least with the biggest opportunities. I love to see Blaine taking those first couple of pot shots on the Widowmaker, goes back onto the more reliable Sojourn, who's been working really nicely. And Diablo going to be the Sojourn on the other side, and Swoom takes up the Stalwart. Now, gone are the dives, gone are the Doomfist. It's going to be hammer and fist taking us into this first fight. Trade out of Ethan's support. Great awareness from Sterling, even through the deflect, puts the bullet, at least the rocket, into the ground at his feet, and manages to stop that charge back from Swoom to make sure to take down Stalker before he can get any sort of reinforcements. And Glorious Blasters hold the first point, but they took a couple of casualties themselves, and actually now has to push forwards to try and create some space.
They did drop a few players here. I hope that Monarch recognize that they've got a numbers advantage. As soon as Stalker comes back in, they can look to get aggressive here. But he's on a kind of slow hero, the Ram. I think they're going to be up to a full 5-on-5. That was good move from Zoom to hold up forward a huge fire strike there, hitting so many players, and Diablo takes down his opposite number in the meantime, and that's going to be it for this team fight. 2 players down already. They're going to have to beat a haste retreat. And Altruism, I feel like I've seen this movie before.
I mean, right now, the problem is, if you're Inglourious Blasters, they're getting tempted to push forward. They're tempted to try and really stamp their authority on. There's no way you drop an Earthshatter into your opponent's spawn group. That's going to come back, and I don't think Monarch 5 Knights is a team you want to give that much of an advantage or disrespect towards. They charge forwards. They've got to worry about Sterling on the high ground. 2 ultimates or 2 kills come out from this ultimate. Make that a third, and he's got an entire shooting gallery. Opens up space for Diablo to get that 4th, and maybe that was just Inglourious Blasters showing the ultimate disrespect to their opponents, baiting them in, and the tactical play, and he still gets the 4th. Oh my goodness. That's disgusting.
This is, my mental is cooked if I'm 5 Knights right now. Nobody's ever accused me of being particularly strong mentally at the best of times, but when I get shattered in spawn like that, we get the insta kill onto the enemy tank, and then we never even look like ever winning the team fight. That's not gonna feel good. Jesper Swag though pops the ultimate here, but then no targets really that he can find. As I say that though, he finds one.
Hey, Jesper Swag, he's been doing great on this Genji so far. No way he doesn't actually get that. Oh, really nice attempt from him, but he's at least created the space. That Dragon Blade was everything that Monarch Knights needed to get back into this. They've only got a minute left on their original starting time bank. Still making sure to keep aware that they could be a late contest here from the Inglourious Blasters. Of course it's going to be. Swoon back onto the point. They've lost on Diablo though. They're reinforcing this with a diminished amount of reserves. And the Kitsune rush? I think Monarch Knights is under pressure here. That's just the start of their mental.
Yeah, that's I will not stand for losing this team fight at any cost. But they definitely had that under control. So they'll wish they had his ultimate here, Nick's ultimate, coming to this next team fight. But this is good for Five Nights. You know, I think now that you've pushed through this opening phase, you can do a lot of work. What does he go to here? He goes to the Mauga. We saw him sitting on that in spawn at the beginning, and he's fighting into a ball here. So these tanks, they're not messing around. They're really, really trying to be proactive in switching heroes and finding playstyles to counter what their opponents are doing.
Countering your opponents right now. It does feel like Inglourious Blasters with a little bit of a... Oh, jeez. So just knowing that Genji's deflect was down, Jesper gives the space open, and Diablo seizes hold of that, does eventually get taken down by the Kiriko. Stalker, with a lot of work to do, decides to go aggressive and charges around the corner, gets hit with the anti-heal, backed up again by the sound barrier, and Monarch Knights want to fight this to the death. They don't have a lot of players left, though. They lost too many to the railgun at the beginning, and it's up to now the desperate attempts of Stalker. Dies on 69% ult charge. Jesper Swag does not want to throw this Drain Blade in there. Okay, good. Goes to the grave with that. Gonna have another chance to come into this, but 2 minutes. Monarch, it feels sometimes that they go forward when they've already maybe at a disadvantage there, son.
Yeah, I think that time is okay, though. You're either going to win that team fight or lose that team fight in that moment, right? So go deep, try and force something rather than getting forced back and dragged out and then dying late. We've all seen that happen. So rather just get aggro, force that out. But he's countering the sleep with the charge. You can't be slept during the charge from Mauga, and they're going to secure the kill onto Atsu, but there is a minefield in play here. So the point kind of hard to get to, and we see why.
How is there just happens to be an exploding ball on the wall right there? Poor Jesper does not have much of a chance. I didn't even see Zoom swapping to the Wrecking Ball, and somehow he already has this up. So really nice way for Inglourious Blasters to once more take control of this. And right now, it's again up to Monarch. They got work to do. It's going to be the cage fight to start this out. Traps one. Make sure that the ball also going to be taken down afterwards. Again, a little bit of life here at the end of 4 of the 5 nights, but that's just halfway through the Streets phase. They've got to do this all again at least one more time.
That's all they have to do. They're not fighting into a huge time back here for IB. These fights do matter. We're kind of painting a picture that IB's in firm control, but they're actually not. Every team fight that Five Nights wins here is very, very valuable. They look like they're going to get a cap here without the counter. Can the ball get through? Yes, he can. Perfect hero to get this counter. Is there anything to counter the ball out? It doesn't look like it, but he's nowhere near anything useful here on Zwoom. Kitsune Rush comes out now. They just need to secure the kill on the ball, but they don't seem to know is there.
I mean, Ball, unfortunately, is going to eventually succumb to those Mauga, as every time he goes around the corner, it's great to be able to stack that up. Trying to just create some space there for the rest of the team, but Five Nights is aware of this. Blaine uses that overclock. It's taken them 2 ultimates to get that final point, but I mean, they do get it at the end of the day. Five Nights give themselves a minute and a half, and remember, they need to get to the end. If they do, they win this here and now, at least for King's Row. So a bit of a chance still into this. They've got themselves a support ultimate in the bag there for Smiley. Might come out to counter out a big play. On the other side, on Diablo, Atsu, not guaranteed value out of those 2 ultimates, and they're going to be throwing it in straight away. The Nano Burst onto the Junker Queen, decides to come around, takes out Blaine midair. But there's a great flex coming out from the Knights. Is that enough, though? No, they are still taking too many casualties.
But they didn't use any ultis there. They forced out Nano Boost, they forced out Overclock, they've still got Sound Barrier, and they're coming up towards Cage Fight, and they've got the Blade. Apricornicus a little bit away here. They might be perfectly out of phase here. Oh, unlucky Sterling. We've all been there. We might be perfectly out of phase here with the ultimate if Jesper Swag pops his early. Stalker, he has now moved off the whatever he was playing before onto whatever he's playing now. But here's the Dragon Blade.
Dragon Blade decides he cannot afford to chase through, and again, the speed of these sound barriers from both of the supports has been sublime whenever there's a threat involved. Now on the other side, Inglourious Blasters, they don't have as much in the tank as their opponents. They're still waiting on Swoom to build up that ultimate, but they don't need it. Monarch Knights try to charge forward through the Kitsune Rush, and they go straight into the waiting arms of IB. who's 10 seconds left, 10 seconds, 5 seconds away from securing this in the most dominant fashion. A desperate attempt. The touch from the Venture pops out at the end, immediately met with an anti-heal grenade, and otherwise, no one coming to join the party. It is IB taking this in a 3-0 fashion and determining, just displaying why they are and have been for a long time the best team in the country.
We had questions coming in now, questions on IB's form, question on Five Nights' strength, and it's all been answered here today. Five Nights not up to the task. IB as good as we've ever seen them, as sharp as we've ever seen them, and as overpowering as we've ever seen them, and that is it. That's pretty much it for the Summer Series Altruism in terms of the top team. Your name is terrible, it's the worst. Anyways, in terms of the top teams of the Summer Series, it's looking extremely likely. It was always likely that whoever came out on top in this matchup was going to be taking the Summer Series home. Now, we can't yet announce that IB have won the Summer Series because there's still a game left, I think, for each of these teams, but with this win, IB have pretty much got one hand on the imaginary trophy that represents victory in the Summer Series, and you can't say they didn't deserve it. 3-0 here, a little bit of a stumble against Vanquish, but watching them play here, they look as dominant as I've ever seen them look.
Yeah. And what I've really enjoyed seeing from my exhibition, the match last night and then today, is that the meta is as diverse as it has ever been. It seems almost everything is viable right now, so people have the opportunity, and that means that people are playing what they're comfortable on. They're playing really nice, deep Overwatch, where it's not just a counter-pick meta either. They're coming in with a designated game plan and executing it really well when you see these top-level guys play, and this is where IB has been great. They played a really good brawl behind the Reinhardt shield. They played really nice dive, led by either the Winston or on the Doomfist there on King's Road. Like, there were so many nice aspects to their gameplay, and Five Nights had to do so much work to try and counter that out, but there always was something new added to the equation. It was a back and forth, and it almost kind of felt like IB was the one throwing that first punch, looking for a reply constantly, as opposed to Five Nights, unfortunately, being able to set the tempo.
I wonder as well whether they almost outthunk themselves, Five Nights, but they never really put enough emphasis on running their bread and butter, which was that Zarya Venture combo. They tried it a bit, it didn't work that well, and they just never really went back to it. And I feel like there was more juice to be squeezed out of that particular composition and play style. But it seems like they were like, no, it's not going to work against this team, and maybe that was the right call. But with the benefit of hindsight, we can see whatever they did end up doing didn't end up working. So it's unfortunate for Five Nights. I would love to know how confident they were coming into this match, how they ranked themselves up against Five Nights, especially given Inglourious Blasters, difficulties in the Summer Series so far. But unfortunately for them, IB were just too strong, and I'm be fascinated to see again how these three teams, Vanquish, IB, and Five Nights, how they interact with each other going forward into the autumn and winter and whatever series is that are coming up here for the rest of the year. To see how they all match up against each other, because Vanquish were, silver medalists in these Ethereal Crown last year. They came out of last year as the second best team in the country. They were dominated by Five Nights, who were then dominated by IB, who struggled against Vanquish. So look, it in spite of how dominating this was from Inglourious Blasters, in spite of how familiar this looks and feels to us who've been watching South African Overwatch for a while, there is so much under the hood here that remains to be worked out.
What was also nice to see is that there were a couple of people really excelling in their own right. Someone like Jesper, because we do have to still give an MVP at the end of this. And so my little thing is, Jesper is a name that I haven't gotten to see for as many years. Someone like Zwoom or Antiablo or Aquatic Sterling. Sterling, that's his name these days. I'm still stuck in the past.
I'm still in my head. Right? I do the translation live as I'm reading it.
But these are names that we've gotten to see for a long time. Jesper doesn't have that same sort of pedigree behind him, and yet both on his Venture and on his Genji, he was a force to be reckoned with. There were a couple of nice 3-man Dragon Blades that came out, kind of like turned it around. We got to see both of the Smiley on the one side and Apricornicus on the other. I kind of alluded to it at the end of King's Row. Their Lucios were staying alive for a very long time. Their sound barriers were being built up at basically the same rate. So props to Smiley, who's traditionally a Mercy player, for being able to keep track and keep up with Apricornicus, who has a lot more experience on that. Just shows that, a couple of these younger players are really starting to stand toe-to-toe with some of the best in the country, and that makes me so excited. So yeah, these guys are second best in the country, or there and thereabouts, but they play like there's no distinguishing factor, and I think on a different day, we could see a closer scoreline, a different scoreline. Still, kind of hold that little margin above them. But everyone else, and the one team that you didn't mention there, Pink Salamanders as well, another team that's really close there. So I kind of feel like it's IB sitting at the one position, and then the next 2 or 3 teams are fighting it out just for their opportunities to nip at the heels.
Yeah, I think I've been forgetting about Pink Salamanders because Vanquish put in that performance last year that really thrust them into the front of everyone's minds. And then they took a couple of maps off Inglourious Blasters this season as well. So they keep announcing themselves as a team of new players names we don't know, that we're not that familiar with, at least we weren't that familiar with, that we're now having to reckon with these superstars coming into the scene and plying their trade and dominating at times. But Pink Salamander is a name full of familiar faces, old heads, as I like to call them in South African Overwatch, but absolutely, we've got a 4-way battle for the top 4 spots in the country, and I'm super excited to see how it all plays out.
Well, guys, we do still have another week here of this summer series, so we'll try and get you more of these broadcasts as we go forward. Otherwise, make sure to keep a side out on the ZA Overwatch. They've got their Twitter pages. Get onto the Discord, find some teammates to play in with, whether it's just casually or try and get a competitive team going. There's lots of people willing to help you out there. And make sure to keep an eye out for the eventual announcement of the winners of this. There isn't going to be any sort of semifinals and finals playoff bracket at the end of this. This is just, of course, building towards that long-term growth that COWZA is aiming at throughout the entire year. But there is lots of Overwatch action throughout the year. So there is plenty of time. If this is maybe the first time you've gotten to watch this, or this is the 100th time, I hope that you had as exciting of an evening as we did. Certainly some last-minute gasp, desperation attempts, or really nail-biting finishes to most of those maps, which is what we're here to see. We want to see good Overwatch. We thank both of the teams for giving us that action. And thanks, of course, go to people like the Peach and Lord of Terran sitting managing all the admin in the background of this. And Son, it's always a pleasure to do this with you, my friend. Final thoughts for the evening? Yeah,
I think the final thoughts are just, I'm excited for what's next for South African Overwatch. I think we've had our opening tournament this year of our more pug style tournament, and that was obviously a lot of fun. We've got this more stable competitive infrastructure in place now going forward in collaboration with ACGL. I don't know if that's going to continue for more than just the summer series, but at least for the summer series. And then we've got more tournaments coming up, in like your Pride Cups, those sorts of things I'm sure are going to be happening. We've had things like Conquer the Climb to get a sense of some of the newer faces in the community and how they can get into competitive Overwatch in South Africa. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how everything unfolds. I think Overwatch is in the best place it's been for a long time in South Africa, and so I look forward to being on the front lines of that.
That's a very good point, actually. And that's where some of the biggest thanks have to go as well to the entire COWZA admin departments. They've really come together with a vision. And like you say, having an entire year's worth of tournaments already planned out that you can aim towards. And it's a good sign. It's a great sign. And we're getting to see that rewarded with new players. So thank you to the people joining the team. Thank you to the people who are now wanting to dip their toes into competitive Overwatch. Sometimes it's hard to go up against the best and get dominated down, but You only get the experience through playing. So we hope to see you guys and the future broadcasts, in future tournaments, and just in general around the COWZA scene. It is a pleasure. Myself, Altruism, and Sun Phoenix, along with the broadcast crew. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.